Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So let's be real, the fact that I am sitting down already tells you that this is going to be kind of a longer video, which in and of itself, I'm not really the bearer of good news. So if it's a longer video full of bad news, Lord knows. If I'm back to talking about the beauty community, things must be pretty bad. Now, I lived a relatively serene life as I ignored the beauty community for the most part. But these days between James Charles and Jaclyn Hill, I really have not been able to escape the land of God's monsters, which is cosmetics. So anyway, we're gonna talk about Jaclyn Hill's video. Now, I'm gonna be transparent. I'm watching it with you for the first time. So I might insert some edits because I'm gonna sleep on what I say. And if I change my mind by the morning about one thing or the other, I'll insert that. But otherwise, I have no idea what happens in this video, aside from people saying that Jaclyn Hill is lying and manipulating, but that's really nothing new in the past, decade? So let's just get into it. So the video is called I'm Closing My Brands. It's 17 minutes and some change for my own well-being. I'm gonna be watching it at 1.5 speed. I recommend that, if not higher.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can see by the title, is gonna be very different. It's taken me a while to get to the place to have the confidence and the vulnerability to sit down and have this conversation with you guys, but I wanna talk to you about what's been going on in my personal life and behind the scenes of the camera that has led to me making the decision on my own to shut down both Jaclyn Roxanne Jewelry and my cozy comfort line. This is a very difficult conversation for me to have, although I am ready just because I have finally, over the last couple of months, had to really admit my wrongs and where I personally fucked up as a creator, as an owner, and as a CEO. When things are up in flames or I'm feeling extremely unhappy or depressed, I tend to put on a happy face and act like everything is totally okay. Later, I come out and I say, oh, I had a drinking problem, or oh, I was depressed, or this, that, or the other, and it tends to shock people. And that really is the story of what's going on right now. I'm gonna rewind you guys because I wanna let you in a little bit on my life and what's actually going on and what's led up to this decision. This all goes back to Jaclyn Cosmetics. This all goes back to my love for makeup, and this all goes back to my lipstick launch. I know I'm already getting emotional, and it's still the beginning of the video, but this is a very emotional topic, and I'm sick of acting like it's not, and I'm sick of making jokes about it, because that's a way that I'm gonna drip. It's just a way for me to process and cope with the trauma that it's caused me. It's just a coping mechanism. But there's actually nothing funny about it whatsoever. There's nothing funny about the way I handled it. There's nothing funny about what came of it. Growing up, all of my dreams revolved around makeup. My first dream was that I wanted to be a makeup artist and I wanted to open up a beauty salon where we offered makeup, hair, and then photography in the back. So you could get your full glam and then you could have photos of your full glam so that you would be able to remember that special moment forever. Then I got a job at MAC Cosmetics and I worked there for 4 years. And when we weren't busy, all I would do was just stand there and I would mix blushes together and lip glosses. And I would come up with different ideas and different products that I would love to create. And it never even seemed like a reality for me because I was working at MAC and I didn't have money at the time. Like it was just like an exciting dream, right? It was a pipe dream. Then YouTube came along and my dreams just kept getting closer and closer to me. I started doing collabs. I started seeing the revenue and the income that was bringing in. And I was like, oh my God, I could actually, like my dream could come true. Like my little girl dream could come true. Like I could create my own cosmetic line. Like this is like insane that I even had the resources and the ability and the following to have the opportunity to do. And so I did it. I fulfilled that dream by doing everything that I thought possibly was right to create Jaclyn Cosmetics. And I had so many people tell me, don't call it Jaclyn Cosmetics, in case it fails, or in case you want to sell it one day. And I was so passionate. I was like, no, I'm naming it after me. This is Jaclyn Cosmetics. Like, this is my heart and soul.
So I'm gonna note one quick thing, and then if you want to ignore it, go ahead and do so. There is the gray hoodie, the gray sweater. We all know what comes with that. I know it's very 2016. And the other thing I have to say, and I've thought this with Jeffree Star's apologies, the way that I've thought about it with the majority of apologies I've seen. Now, granted, if your entire brand is somehow hinged on luxury in the sense of, for example, with Jeffree Star, his entire brand is luxury. His entire brand is buying these new and exclusive things that are hard to get your hands on, right? Jaclyn Hill may not have started that way, but in the recent years, she has been very associated, not necessarily with luxury, because I associate a level of class with luxury, and there are too many implications there, connotations there that I don't really want to put out there. However, she has been associated with having a lot of money, let's put it that way. I think it's a lose-lose in some ways for Jaclyn Hill, because if she apologizes in front of this closet where I at least see one Louis Vuitton in the corner, maybe a second one down there if it's the one I think it is, this all in the background says money, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with having money, with having made your money, though it's better if it's done honestly, which is a whole other discussion to be had here. If she does it this way, it seems a little bit like, you know, the person crying in their mansion over their own bad decisions, which they easily could have prevented. However, if she makes this video in front of a white wall with her gray hoodie, it also looks fake because that's not on brand. So I was almost asking myself, is there a way this video could have even been shot where people, myself included, aren't going to be heavily critical? And I think no. That being said, do I think people are wrong for being heavily critical? Also, no. So that's not a defense, merely a thought that popped up in my head.
I worked on that for years, thinking that I literally crossed every T and dotted every I, and I thought that that lipstick launch was going to be my legacy. Like 18 nude shades in one launch, it literally had never been done before. And I thought that that was just gonna be like, it was gonna just like crack the earth, and that was gonna be the beginning of my legacy. That was my little girl dream that was coming to reality, and who gets to experience a moment like that? Anyways, we all saw what happened with those lipsticks. And like I said, although I make jokes about it, it still haunts me all the time. And it's what led to opening up and starting these other brands. I had to take a little break to gather myself. Whew. So after my lipstick launch happened and things obviously did not go as planned, I honestly became zombie-like. I did the absolute bare minimum as a founder and CEO. I just relied on my team to just kind of like float me through everything. I fell into such a depression. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. Like I turned to alcohol. That's when I gained well over 40 pounds like that, because I was not taking care of myself in any way, shape, or form. The way I handled the lipsticks is the biggest regret of my entire life, ever. Like launching them, that was a shitty situation, you know? But the way I handled it is my biggest regret ever, because it's not just like I gave up on cosmetics, I gave up on myself. I gave up on my little girl dream. I gave up on me. And I felt like such a failure. And instead of picking myself up, getting back up, getting myself together, I just relied on a lot of people who honestly were in my life at the time, and they were yes men. I was surrounded by yes men. I was surrounded by people who were kind of telling me what to do, almost like robotic. And that's when I decided to create 2 new brands. Instead of pouring myself back into cosmetics, taking accountability, and not giving up on myself, I decided, well, gotta create new brands, gotta prove myself to my followers that, you know, I'm a bad bitch and I can do this. And I'll be honest, you guys, like just keeping it real, I kind of feel like it was a pressure that was put on me in the sense I put on myself of like all of my peers, they all have brands. Like that's what you do. Like you create a YouTube channel, you get the income, and then you create your own brand, something that can make you money going forward. And I looked around and I see everybody, you know, it's like Manny, Laura, Desi, Katie, all these people who are in the same space as me at the same time are all creating brands. And to me, it looks like they're thriving, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do it too, I gotta do it too. And that's really another thing that I fucked up on, a decision that I made that ended up hurting me, because at the end of the day, guys, I don't really want to be a brand owner. I know that so many people thrive doing that. There's people and personalities out there that like a Kim Kardashian, like, I think that's what makes them happy, is like just to like create more and more brands. And for me, that's not it. Like I was my happiest doing makeup, working on Jaclyn Cosmetics, doing collabs, and just having a relationship with my followers, honest to God. And that's what it comes down to, is these brands are not serving me anything. They're not bringing me happiness. And I don't care about the money at this point. I've gotten to the age. I definitely went through a phase where it's like money was a driver, fame was a driver, and that no longer is even part of my desires in life. I'm just craving happiness and mental stability and clarity, and I've been so lost due to the decisions that I've made surrounding my cosmetic line and leading into Jaclyn Roxanne and Cozy.
One quick note about Cozy. If you don't know what Cozy is, I'll put a description / the products on screen. But everything that happened with Cozy is a little bit more than just a failure. So let's say Jaclyn Cosmetics was a failure because of the whole lipstick gate, the alleged mold in the lipstick, the bumps in the lipstick. That was a failure in terms of, I think, negligence, quality control, a whole series of things. And that is a failure of a company. For me, the whole thing with Cozy is more complicated than that, because that involved plagiarism. That involved actively going out of your way to be dishonest and what some might, like myself, say shitty. So there's a difference for me between, okay, you're launching your lipsticks and that failed because you didn't know this, you didn't know that, you didn't do your due diligence. That's one thing, because it's still, at least to me, as far as I know, with the limited amount of information I know, which is what's public, that was still an honest attempt in the sense of, I do think she wanted that to work out, and I do think that there were generally good intentions. Now, did she copy the formula? I don't know any of all that. That being said, with Cozy, it's already different, because at the very beginning of Cozy, I remember one of the main things of that brand, because I didn't find it particularly relevant or memorable, and I'm not saying that to be shady, but it's like, if I associate someone with makeup, if they make blankets or something like that, you know, I'm not gonna associate that. So the little I knew of Cozy was literally just about plagiarism and how a brand that was basically identical to it already existed. And that's also why I think a lot of people, myself included, are heavily critical of Jaclyn, is because, like I said before, she's associated with all this money, right? Where are your lawyers? Where is a product development team? Where are the people that are supposed to ensure that these things don't happen to you? Now, granted, she said she had yes men, which I guess some people just maybe floated through their job if there were even people with these jobs, like lawyers specifically watching over trademarked products that exist, and I don't know all the ins and outs of that. But you best believe if I ever create a brand, the very first thing I'm doing is finding a lawyer so these things don't happen. Because once your name is associated with plagiarism, I think for me personally, that is worse than any brand failure. That's worse than starting 10 different brands and continuing to fail. Because if you fail because you didn't know something or because you fucked up, I will 100% respect you trying over and over again. If you fail because you try to steal someone's idea, then you get called out on it, and then it doesn't really work out. And granted, I don't know how much money Cozy made. Maybe it was successful. I don't know. I didn't hear all that much about it. So when we use these two different examples of Jaclyn Cosmetics and Cozy, those are two different situations that I don't think in my mind are comparable. The only thing they really have in common to me are Jaclyn Hill. But if they had two different and separate owners, I wouldn't be like, ah yes, let's compare and contrast lipsticks being fucked up due to production, mold, bumps, whatever, versus allegedly taking someone else's product, plagiarizing it, marketing it as your own, knowing full well that you have a far bigger platform and can basically obliterate them entirely. Two different situations, also with different intentions in my opinion. But again, that's just as an outsider. What do I know?
So I have made the decision on my own to shut these brands down because it's time to own up to my shit and own up to myself what makes me happy and what I want, and also share with you this as well. Because I've always been the person for the past 10 years online to tell you to do what makes you happy, to follow your dreams. And, you know, I thought that creating these brands was the right idea. I was in a fog at the time. I was just like, okay, sure, we're now gonna create jewelry. Don't get me wrong, you guys, I love jewelry and I love my jewelry. Look, I'm wearing it all right now. Like, I'm proud of it. Cozy right here. Literally, I've got my blanket with me at all times. Softest blanket ever. Love it. I love it. I'm proud of it, but I'm not excited about it. And that's the thing. It's like, I get excited over cosmetics. I'm not excited over these things. And I kind of had this like aha moment recently where I'm like, I don't want to be known as the cozy girl. I don't want to be known as the blanket girl. I don't want to be known as the jewelry girl. Like, that's not supposed to be my legacy. My legacy was supposed to be cosmetics. That's what I've loved since I was a kid. Like, that was my original dream, was something in the makeup creative space. And at this time of my life, I just want to get back to that. That's just what I desire. And I hope that my honesty and vulnerability with you guys, I hope that it helps some of you in the sense of, you don't have to feel like you have to do it all. Some people, they thrive on that. But then there's people like me, and it's like, I don't. Like, I don't want to have 60 employees I oversee. You know, I don't want to.
I'm gonna say it right now. Anytime someone tells me they're being honest and vulnerable, little bit off vibes for me, which very eloquent of me as usual. But I'm not saying if someone's like, yeah, if I'm being honest, this happened. But if someone tells me, my honesty, my vulnerability, my integrity, my morality, if there's this kind of track record, I get a little bit worried. Now, obviously the rule does not pertain to everyone, but if as of right now, your reputation, and for the past few years, your reputation has been very flimsy because multiple times you have been, I don't know if I should say caught, or people have noticed that there have been some inconsistencies, some unprofessional behaviors. If all of this has been part of your reputation, as much as I don't want to be the person who's like, well, I heard this and that. As a brand, you kind of rely on what people say, right? That's why reviews online even matter, because what people say about you and your brand matters. So when I hear someone who has been, let us just say, very vaguely outed for at the very least, inconsistent behavior, if they start spouting out these big, vague, but yet ethical and moral concepts, I'm immediately suspicious because it sounds somewhat self-laudatory, right? My morality, my ethics, my integrity. It's like, okay, if you have all of these things, you shouldn't have to tell me that you have these things. Kind of like when someone keeps telling you, oh, you can trust me, oh, you can trust me, and they tell you that multiple times to the point where you're like, okay, so I can't trust you, because if I can trust you, I know that, and I don't need you to underline that for me.
On Zoom calls all day, every day. Like, I want to do something creative. I want to work with my hands. Like, I want to, you get it. I also just want to say, because it's something that I've wanted to say, just like loud and proud with my chest, is that I feel like my social media is just, it almost looks like one big brand deal. Because I've got these 3 brands, and in order to pay for the salaries and keep my warehouse open and everything that it takes to run a business here in Tampa. Like, I have to have launches all the time, and I've got Jaclyn Cosmetics, and I've got Ulta promos, and it's like, I feel like I'm just always pushing product in your face, and I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so over it. Like, I can't stand, I feel like a salesman, and it's just not me, and it feels icky. Even though I love these products, it's just too much. I just jumped into the dive-in without floaties, and I don't know how to swim, and that's how my life has felt for the past couple of years. And honestly, you guys, I have missed connecting with you so much. But keeping it real, I feel very scared to be super vulnerable. That's one of the reasons why I created Jaclyn's Journey, because it was kind of like something that I could slip in on my YouTube channel to try to get like that human connection back with you guys, with my followers. Sorry, there's a fuzzy. That was kind of me testing the waters, because I do get so scared of people's opinions and backlash on my life, whatever it may be. There's just negativity, and it makes it so hard for me just to be vulnerable and open and honest with you guys, because I'm just so scared of what people are going to have to say. And I hate that. I just want to get back to creating content and having a friendship here and having fun with you guys, something that has nothing to do with pushing my brands. Ugh. Somebody told me yesterday, and I love this analogy, that like I took the wrong exit on the highway, and now I'm making a U-turn. I'm getting back on the highway. And I was like, whoa, that really resonated with me so much. And it's like, honestly, like I'm kind of backpedaling. You know, it's like people are like launching brands and like finding all this success through social media, and here I am like shutting my brands down. It's very humbling. It's been hard to get to this point where I'm just like okay with that, where I'm like, I'm okay with the fact that I'm closing down these brands. And the internet might have a lot to say about it, but like I'm doing this for me. I want to get back to what makes me happy, and I've never been happier in my life, like my business life and my career, than when I was just simply creating content. And I miss it so much. I do want to take a moment to address the naming of my brand Cozy, because there's been a lot of talk about it. And although I have not addressed it publicly, does not mean that I am not handling it privately. It's really something that I wish the internet would be more aware of, is that you only see moments and minutes throughout my entire week in my life, but behind the scenes is where everything is actually happening. So although I may not address something, does not mean that it's not keeping me up at night and something that I am constantly dealing with and obsessing over and trying to make right. I just want you guys to keep that in mind. What you see here on camera is just a tiny, tiny glimpse into what my life actually looks like. So as a lot of you guys may know, there's a Canadian creator, and she had an online digital platform called All Things Coz. And Coz was spelled the same way as my brand, Koze. So at the time, I hired a trademark attorney to make sure that whatever name my team and I came up with for my brand was going to be able to be used legally. We came up with over 100 different names. Everything was taken. We created names from scratch, taken. Everything was trademarked until we came up with the name Cozy, spelled Koze. My attorney told me, trademark is open. It's all yours. Great. Where I personally messed up as an owner, as a founder, as a CEO, was not doing my own due diligence on the social media side of things. I was not made aware that there was a smaller Canadian creator with an online platform that had that exact same spelling within the brand name. Until we had placed an order for everything, for the blankets, for the robes, for the pajamas, for the socks, for the slippers, and that's when I was made aware of the spelling being the same. The second that I was made aware of the situation, my team and I reached out to her directly to try to make this right, and we never heard back from her. And I completely understand why, because I would be pissed off if I was her as well. Alright, the situation sucks. I'm just giving you my perspective of what happened behind the scenes of the camera. So I want to let you guys know what you can expect to see from Jaclyn, Roxanne, and Cozy as these two brands are shutting down. It's not as easy as just going into the warehouse and turning off the lights and saying, everybody go home, the brands are closed. We have placed POs months and months ago that we are committed to. I also have a team of employees out here in Tampa at the warehouse. They depend on these salaries to feed their families, so it's not like I'm just laying everybody off and saying, we're done, go home. Everybody has a heads up, everybody has a chance to figure out what they want to do while we are shutting down and having this open, transparent conversation with not only my employees, but my followers as well. You will see massive sales hitting the website. You'll also see a couple of new things coming to the website. Like for instance, I have a collection, I'm actually wearing one of the necklaces right now, that's launching, I believe, this week. And then we have some blankets, like another robe coming in as well. We committed to these purchase orders earlier in the year before I finally made this decision. So you'll see a few new things trickle in as we are shutting things down. And then as we sell through, you will see everything come to a complete close in the next couple of months. As for Jaclyn Cosmetics,
Okay, so I'm glad that you addressed the cozy thing, if you want to call it that. I'd really like to be able to give a bigger benefit of the doubt here, but truly it's difficult, because how many times can things happen before we decide that it's a pattern instead of just a series of coincidences, right? Now, I'm not saying Jaclyn Hill has plagiarized multiple times or anything of that sort, but I'm just saying how much lack of due diligence, or should we just say negligence, can occur before we say, okay, you know, if you fuck up once, you fuck up twice, whatever. There's no limit on the fuck ups until people see that you're still doing everything you can. I think the thing with Jaclyn Hill, at least where I'm coming from, is that it doesn't seem like anything is ever improving. It always seems like there's another fuck up and then there's another fuck up, and they're all kind of similar fuck ups where you're like, okay, did we not get a lesson from this the first time? And it always returns to the same thing that I say with, and I say quote unquote celebrities. I'm talking about people who have the type of money celebrities have. It's also difficult for me to believe that with all these trademark attorneys, whatever, there's no thought of hiring a social media PR type person, whatever that title is, to look into, are there brands with this name? Because granted, there might not be a trademark. Legally, there might not be a problem, but there's so many brands on Instagram. It takes like 5 seconds to start an Instagram. And I mean, if you have the supply, I guess you already have a brand. So it's almost hard for me to believe that you would go the trademark route, but you as a person who's been on social media for years upon years upon years, You're not gonna check, I don't know, Shopify, Instagram, Google it. I don't know. You really aren't going to do any of that. And that's what I think is surprising to me, because it seems like the admin avenue was covered in the sense of, okay, you have lawyers, you're looking into trademarks. What about all the social media? What your career has been until you were a business owner, it was social media. And that's supposedly what she wants to return to, just doing social media, doing YouTube and makeup. And so it's like, okay, if that's what you loved the whole time, how is it that that's the one facet where shit basically fell apart with Cozy? That won't, I think, add up to me. And granted, she did say it, we don't have the details, because I don't know what Jaclyn wrote in the message to the Cozy business owner. But if she wrote, let's collaborate, let me give you a cut for X amount of time because I didn't know about the name of your brand. You know, like if you came to an agreement that was worth even entertaining, maybe it would have been a different story. But again, I don't know what was in that message, but I do think that if a brand owner genuinely thinks that you fucked up and can see that you're willing to do some kind of collaboration, hire them even, who knows, maybe it would have panned out differently. But knowing what we know about the whole beauty industry, and granted, not everyone in the beauty industry is the same, of course, but we're talking about the shady people, honestly. What we know about the shady people of the beauty industry is that they typically try to bully or coerce or do something that isn't really beneficial for both sides. And like I said, not saying that happened here, but I'm wondering, did Cozy really ignore the message because they were mad, or was it because it was clear that there was a particular intention that wasn't not only beneficial, but even maybe positive at all for anyone? You know, like if someone's trying to intimidate you, why would you even respond? That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, guys, I don't know the future of my brand. I really don't. I mean, because of everything that I've said to you this entire video, I really don't know. I mean, I really stepped away and I really just did the bare minimum, and I was given such an incredible opportunity to be in Ulta stores, and I've done the bare minimum supporting my brand in Ulta, which is crazy because that's literally my dream. I could just cry over this. Like, I remember working at the Mac store, all right? And this is when I was physically on food stamps. And during my lunch break at Mac, I would walk upstairs in the Chicago Woodfield Mall, and I would go into the Ulta store, and I would just walk around and stare. And I remember feeling like always slightly embarrassed because like the sales girls would be like, "Can I help you?" And I'd be like, "Oh no, it's okay," because I did not have $1 to spend on makeup. But I would just walk around and swatch stuff and just like dream about like being able to own these things. And I've talked about this. I talked about this like 8 years ago on my YouTube channel. And just to then fast forward and have my own Jaclyn Cosmetics in Ulta stores, like talk about and I haven't even given that relationship the love that it deserves because I just felt like such a failure. Even though Ulta believed in me, I didn't believe in myself. How crazy is that? So at this point, I don't know what's gonna happen with Jaclyn Cosmetics because of the decisions that I've made, because of the fact that I did the bare minimum. It's just wild to think that that is what started my YouTube career, turning on some rinky-dink camera, using a lamp as my lighting, recreating a Kim Kardashian, Cosmopolitan, winged eyeliner look, like with nothing to get out of it. I didn't know you could make money on YouTube. I didn't know you could make a career out of it. I just thought it was a community that you could possibly build where you learn makeup. Like, that's all I thought it was back in 2011. And so, yeah, I definitely feel ashamed and like I blew it, and that might be the case, but I'm gonna own up to it and own my shit, and at this point, it's like, let's just see what the future holds, you know? But I'm just sick of trying to chase validation. I just wanna be happy. I want mental stability. I'm so sick of feeling lost or doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do, what people are telling me to do. Like, I'm just ready to take my life into my own hands. I've been working really hard on that recently. Said what I said, we're done. And just moving forward with what I want to do and what's going to make me happy no matter what that looks like. All I know is we do have one last launch in our pipeline that's actually coming out this month, and it's the most innovative product that I've ever created. You will see that I really put time and effort into this product with my team. There's nothing like it. There's no formula that I have ever seen on the market like this. It is so beautiful and so unique. And I'm so excited for it to launch. And I just want to be able to give my brand the love that it deserves, even if it ends up shutting down too. Like, on the way out, I've got to just like stay true to myself and like that little Jaclyn, if you will. I've got to honor that. I've got to honor my true original love and passion and dream. And that's where I'm at. So that's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoy this video, and I hope that this video was more to you than just me announcing that I'm closing down my brands. I hope that there's a message you can take away in this video, whatever it may be. I hope that you guys just follow your hearts, take care of yourself first, take care of your heart, take care of your mind, take care of your mental health, get yourself in a good mental stable place, and then make your own decisions. And don't let other people push you into decisions. Don't feel like you have to, be this girl boss in order to prove something to anybody else. Just follow your heart and what makes you happy. And you know that I have preached that for the last 11 years here on my channel. So that's it. I love you guys, and I'm looking so forward just to getting back to doing content that I love, and that I'm excited about. I've missed you. Even though I've been here, it's like I've been a little shell of me, and I've missed you. And that's it. I love you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
I'm gonna be real with you, pals. She had me in the first half. She really did. This is a hard conversation because I really don't want to be too harsh, which is something I tend to be. So I don't want to be too harsh. At the same time, it's really hard to pretend like this video isn't really appealing to your emotions. Let's be very transparent about that. And just because it's appealing to your emotions, it doesn't mean it's automatically fake or not true. That being said, we do know that one of the main tactics that anyone, not just influencers, anyone uses to manipulate is appealing to your emotions. So that, I'm not saying is the major red flag, but I definitely did notice it because consistent returning to little Jaclyn and her dream and the dream being broken or falling apart is completely valid and it makes sense, of course. But at the same time, is that all it is? Are we really just talking about how you're disappointed that little Jaclyn who wanted to be in Ulta and couldn't afford it and then was and then quote unquote fucked it up? Is that all really just to tell us how you feel? Or is that to make it seem like perhaps you've changed and it's different and your feelings are hurt and all of these other things? And granted, your feelings could very well be hurt and you could still be trying to manipulate people. Those are not mutually exclusive either, but I will say I am entirely suspicious about the whole thing. I think the only conclusion I can get to personally is that we have to see what happens, because we have to see what happens once the brands shut down, where everything goes. It's one of those things that until we see the next step, as of right now, you can decide whether you're going to give the benefit of the doubt entirely, somewhat, or not at all. But other than that, that's it. I will say mentioning the drops of the brands made sense to me, just so it didn't seem fake, right? To be like, hey, I'm shutting down my brands and then this month something launches. That makes sense. That being said, it was also mentioned more than once and I don't really know why that was necessary. Honestly, she could have even just put it on screen like, hey, we ordered some stuff. The stuff is still gonna come out. End of. The fact that it was mentioned more than once, that then there was a part that seemed a little bit like an ad read in the sense of, oh, this is a new product. I put so much effort into it, blah, blah. This is not the time for that. I would guess that a majority of you might agree with that not being exactly the right time, especially when she talks about feeling like being a salesman. It's like, okay, well, you're talking about closing your brands and you're still selling things in that video. You're being a salesman in the video where you complain about being a salesman, which I understand, like she said, she has employees and all of that. At that point, maybe make 2 separate videos, I don't know, to just be like, hey, we still have a launch, I still have people to pay, I still have warehouses, factories, whatever, and tell people that you'll talk about that in a different video, as opposed to a video where you're supposedly closing and like owning your shit and realizing that you didn't put effort into things, and then being like, by the way, this new product is launching. Did I tell you that this new product is launching? There's a new product, it's launching. Did I tell you about the new product? You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. At the end of the day, like I said, we just have to see what happens from here on out. I personally think it will take a very long time for Jaclyn Hill to regain her credibility, because I do think a lot of it was lost along the way. And it's actually kind of crazy to think about the fact that Cozy is an asterisk. It's not even like the biggest deal of what happened, and that was plagiarism, which you'd think would be a pretty big deal. But when that turns into kind of a footnote, you gotta wonder. And I'm not saying there's a point of no return, because Lord knows we've seen people who have done unfathomable things continue to thrive. I mean, she herself mentioned the Kardashians, so let's just leave that there. I don't know how much she can build off a YouTube audience. I don't know how that comes back. You know, sometimes the bridges are just burned and that's all it is. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.